Good evening, fellow ghouls and specters alike. It's your ghost host with the most, Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Sandy Claus.
And Jacob Wild too.
Here to engage in some haunted holiday hijinks by trudging through the catacombs and dusting off the cobwebs as we recount our spooky selection of Halloween classics.
So light the jack-o'-lantern, suit up, and grab the candy dish. As we revive and recount tonight's spooky selection, Courage the Cowardly Dog, A Night at the Katz Motel!
I'm
Spiders! So many spiders! We should create a giant legion of spiders! Alright.
I realized I accidentally made the thumbnail just A Night at Katz Motel.
Oh, it's supposed to be A Night at the Katz Motel?
Yes. So
I think you could go back and edit that. It's fine. Alright. So guys, we have with us for the first time in like a while, we have Jacob and Sandy. Jacob, you've been joining us for the DuckTales podcast, of course, but
yep.
Sandy, how the hell have you been, buddy? We haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little while. All my evening shifts are Sunday through Friday, so it kind of limits the amount of podcasts I can do. I've been doing the SIR stuff for your project.
Oh yeah, sure.
So I've been around in that regard, but yeah, I haven't been on one of these in a little while. Can't even remember what the last one was.
I honestly can any of you remember what the last podcast? I want to say
I think
it was a debate.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was probably a debate.
Yeah.
It was not the last one, the one before, probably.
so. There you go. All right. Well, welcome back, Sandy.
Thanks.
All right. So, guys, this is a yearly tradition for us to do Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes.
You can pretty much
Yeah.
do a couple months, a couple whole series of these with just Courage the Cowardly Dog.
We really could easily. We've been going through kind of like the big iconic ones. We did Freaky Fred. We did The Mask. What others have we done? We did, of course, King Ramsay's Curse.
Didn't we also do the Snowman?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
That was for
Christmas in July. But yes,
Snowman.
Snowman.
I mean, I'm trying to think of. We did King Ramses.
Mask.
Yeah, the Mask.
Yeah.
I can't remember like the other ones we've done.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We arrive at the not the pilot episode of Courage, but definitely the first broadcast episode, the very first broadcast episode, because of the two kind of parts of the episode. This is the first part, so yeah, chronologically number one.
Can I just kind of point out, like, it as pointed out in like the intro, it's like talking about Courage saving his new home where they live, but neither of the first two episodes actually take place at their house.
Yeah, which is and again, it's kind of like almost like a pilot Iosaur thing, because our pilot gives us that, but
Also,
then the
Courage
first
talks way too much in these first few episodes. That's definitely a factor.
it's pretty much what's referred to as like early installment weirdness.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's still the same kind of show, but several minor differences that get phased out as it goes along.
All right, but I got to admit, guys, this one kind of got to me a little bit, and I don't know. For the life of me, I remember this episode more as just kind of like the creepy, like, Katz is like maybe like a more suave and sophisticated Norman Bates, where like he's still doing creepy things, but he's like very, very suave.
Basically, Norman Bates without the mother complex.
Right. I, for the life of me, don't remember the spiders, and holy shit, the spiders. Okay, you guys want to know the worst thing about the spiders for me?
What?
How realistic their scale is. They're not huge. They're not like giant spiders, but they're not tiny either. Like, they're definitely bigger than like a realistic spider, but they're not so big to cross over into the realm of like, oh, that's just a cartoony giant spider. You know what I mean?
They're like weaponized spiders. Like they're big
right.
enough,
It's like
big
it's
as a hand
just big
grenade or
enough to be
something, you know?
believable, but also small enough to like be like, oh man, like I could picture something like that in the real world.
Like a tarantula on steroids.
I mean, there are spiders literally the size of dinner plates in real life. So.
Oh, I know, Jacob. I'm well aware as an arachnophobia person.
But are they as cinematic and terrifying, though? That's the real question.
Right.
Well, what kind of got me was like, I mean, they are a bit cartoony. I mean, especially with the eyes, because let's face it, drawing realistic spider eyes on spiders would be almost an impossible task. But
I mean, just look at Jeff the Spider from Billy and Mandy. I mean, it's impossible.
Yes, long live Jeff. Anyway, but yeah, like how like they kind of did well scaling them up too. Like they made them all like kind of did manage to make them creepy, like with like how gangly and lanky they kind of are, but also kind of sleek they were. But and the noises they make too. I mean,
oh yeah.
Like again, the audio design in this series is definitely helps with the eeriness factor.
So another reason this is a big claim to fame too is of course Katz, like the best of the Courage villains. I'm looking at you, Snowman, voiced by the incomparable Paul Scheffler. Which one of us, technically, I think most of us were in the room, but I mean, like the one who kind of championed it, man who's kind of met the man. Sandy, you've met the incomparable Paul Scheffler. You got some stories in the old tomes. Would you like to share one?
Yeah. This is the first episode that Paul did. A couple of years ago, I think this was last February actually. I was working on a project and I invited him to come help out with it, and he accepted. I went to New York to visit some family and met up with him in a diner, which I think was the same diner that they created Seinfeld in, or brainstormed Seinfeld in.
Yeah.
So I met him there, and he bought me some pancakes, and we talked about Courage and that kind of stuff. So he was telling me that he got this role as Katz. It was originally just Katz. And I think what he said, don't quote me on this exactly, but I think what he had said was that John Dilworth, who created the show, pursued him for this role because Paul was a really kind of refined stage performer at that point in time, and he still is. He's really, really talented on the stage. So he was kind of perfect for this role, and as time went on, he ended up just taking more and more roles with the Snowman and LeQuack and one of the zombies, a whole bunch of them. Yeah, he had so much fun with it. But he's a really, really nice guy. He's nothing like Katz in real life. In fact, I'd say he's incredibly suave and very charming, very much like Katz. But he's not creepy at all. Like,
well, let's hope we don't meet a lot of people that are like Katz in real life.
Of course, especially if they run Motels.
No, he was a really sweet guy. He was really, really nice.
I gotta tell you, I think it's so adorable. Like, oh my God, Paul Scheffler bought you pancakes. That's so nice. And at the essentially the impetus for Monksteiner, not Monksteiner, but the impetus for Monks.
And it's like, was the show recorded in New York too? Like with the entire show, or did just he record in New York?
Yeah, Courage was made. Courage was made in New York. Yeah.
I mean, because I know like some shows are made in LA, other shows are like recorded in New York. Sometimes some shows are like recorded all over the world, basically.
Well, John Dilworth, he's always been based in New York. His studio, because he did a lot of work with Sesame Street back in the late '90s. He did projects for them called Noodles and Ned, little Noodles and Ned shorts. And so when he got this deal with Cartoon Network to make Courage, he kind of expanded his studio. And then after the show ended, I'm guessing he kind of dispersed. And I know right now he's living somewhere, somewhere in New York in a little apartment. He's still making stuff. So, Yeah, in short, everyone's still in New York, including Marty Grabstein, who's doing conventions now, which is really cool. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. So, Sammy, let me ask you something before we move on here, just to get into the old recap. Are there any other any special little tidbits you can recall about Katz Motel, or just kind of the early kind of inception, kind of like the early kind of courage and practice?
In my earliest memories of courage.
Well, I mean, courage, like anything you can recall about, they're getting. This is a really early episode, and there are kind of some things towards the end of this, especially like they're still kind of figuring out the groundwork of in the series, like we call Eustace Grandpa, and that definitely didn't stick around, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's like I don't think that was ever happened in pretty much any other episode.
Yeah. Seems like they're kind of still working things out in the first episode, because at this point they had the pilot, certainly, which of course that's the whole the space chickens thing, which came back in a big way.
And technically the pilot was mostly silent except for Courage's line at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm still a little confused what the question is
exactly. Well, I mean, do you have any fun facts about Katz Motels in general? Fun facts.
Yeah, well, Personally, I've always thought that Paul did the voice of the Cajun Fox. Oh, no, sorry. I've always thought that Jim Cummings. I've always thought Jim Cummings did the voice of the Cajun Fox. It just sounds so much like him. And he voiced Pete. He's voiced a bunch of Disney characters, including Winnie the Pooh and the Cheshire Cat. But no, I went to a convention one time. I asked Jim myself if he voiced that character. He said no, and Paul told me over pancakes. He said, "Oh yeah, I voiced the Cajun Fox."
Did Jim actually do stuff in Courage? Yeah, he was the Fusilli, right?
Yeah, he was the Fusilli. Yeah, and Jim told me he said he was the great Fusilli. But yeah, Paul did the Katz and the Cajun Fox. Both episodes were back to back, which is why I mentioned that.
Of course, yeah, kind of the package sort of thing they used, especially a lot of the Cartoon Network shows, kind of an 11-minute pop per episode. Unless there's like a 2-part like The Mask or something.
Yeah,
Brandis stew.
Now that I think of it, I think Katz is probably the most terrifying Courage villain, just because of how many times he shows up and how many different roles, and just how maniacal and.
I mean, I think he is the arch foe, hands down, right? I mean, it's got to be. He's the cat versus dog. He's the arch foe.
I mean, barring like a few cameos from other villains, he's pretty much like the most recurring main villain that appears like as the main villain in multiple episodes.
Like for me, Snowman, that's either I guess the obvious comparison would be like a Mr. Freeze, but I mean, kind of like a Ra's al Ghul. Like we bring him out for the special occasions, but again, your arch foe, though, I mean, it's Katz. Katz is the fun one. Katz is the icon.
But I don't have any. I don't think I have any facts right now. If I think of them, I'll let you know.
Okay, well, let's just dive right into it, guys. Let's start recapping this little gem, kind of the from the sort of the Book of Genesis post the pilot. So let's get things started. So of course, title like Katz Motel. We start in kind of a Bates Motel setup. We got Eustace, Muriel, and Courage returning from a vacation.
I'd like to know what vacation they went on, by the way.
I did wonder. It's kind of like probably a misadventure did not go well, given like they all say, "Oh man, that vacation sucked."
Yeah, it's like what a crummy place to end a cruddy vacation.
Yep. So Courage is already spooked by the lightning and everything. We have we enter the motel. And we have this gag also where Courage gets so spooked it becomes like a neck pillow for Eustace, practically just clinging to his neck. Like, where's that marketing? I have the Courage the Cowardly Dog neck pillows.
That's great.
That would do really well, actually.
It would be. I mean, again, you gotta stress. You're always looking around. What better to do the job for you? Relax after all that looking around than Courage.
I mean, I actually have a neck pillow for like when I travel, but sometimes when I travel long distances and stuff. So I would actually love a Courage one.
Yep. All right, so we're in the lobby, kind of the main office of the motel. And again, when I say Bates Motel setup, I mean like literally like a Bates Motel setup. Is that we have like the cabins along the way, and we're missing the big creepy house, but it's the motel.
The neon sign and everything.
Yeah. Just something to comment on here in this first opening shot with the motel and the truck and everything. You can really see the background designers really did a beautiful job with texturing everything. The sky looks really, really impressive. The painted sky looks really impressive, and you can see all just the different layers of the shadows on the real dirt texturing they put on. It looks really, makes it look otherworldly almost, because no other show I've ever seen has ever done that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So we're in the motel.
Sometimes it has to, like, the uncanniness of it all.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the backgrounds on Courage very much lend to like kind of like the sort of like disquieting and sort of like middle of nowhere surrealism that you can't quite put your finger on with the show.
I like it. It's pretty much like something called I don't know if I've heard it somewhere, but the surreal reel.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes any sense, like, I mean, it's real, but at the same time, there's like something kind of off about it.
It's grounded yet surrealist. Sure, yeah.
Now, when the two walk into the motel, you can actually see in the book when he says "banging the bell," you can see that they have the crew inside of the chicken.
Yes.
Yeah, John R. Dilworth being the top name, of course. We also, with the style of Courage, we also kind of built it in, even this early on, we have like the superimposed, kind of onomatopoeic words, like, like later on he's cracking his neck, and here it's like, whole snap, 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 and like then the ding, 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 that sort of stuff. A lot of fun there. So
and then we meet Katz.
I love his theme. I love that Katz has that really memorable theme every time he enters. It's like that really kind of almost like kind of imposing 80s theme, like the It's like he builds. That's what I'm saying. Katz, say what you will about all the Courage builds. The best thing about Katz is that Katz has instant credibility with that theme, and just again, because he's the complete opposite of Courage, and that Courage is afraid of everything. Katz has no fear whatsoever. He just walks in there confident. Like Courage runs, Katz he kind of saunters.
Courage runs, he walks.
Exactly. Again, like again the whole the cat versus the frantic, adorable little dog. So, welcome to the Katz Motel. I'm Katz. Of course, as he's doing a little welcome wagon, then he instantly like snap, 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 and he points. I love he doesn't even like say it necessarily at first. Just like snaps and points to the sign. No dogs allowed.
God.
Snoopy's outside looking at Courage, like just shrugging. I don't know, man. I don't know. I tried. I don't know what to tell you. Your dog's in a bowl. Just get out of there while you can. Anyway, so yeah, no dogs allowed. So then we have just this. Then we have the sad Courage. Someone cue the sad Hulk music, because we're tying. Courage is being tied outside in a lightning storm, nonetheless.
And uses takes the time to scare him and gets promptly punished by Muriel.
Yeah, but again, we're kind of circumventing a few things, and maybe it's because we're not in the house, which is entirely fair. But Eustace not pulling out the big giant Ooga Booga mask.
No! I'm glad you mentioned that, because Eustace does kind of do like an Ooga Booga like type noise, but it doesn't come.
Kaboom!
Yeah. That was interesting. That was kind of like a proto Ooga Booga. But the interesting thing is that Ooga Booga is still in the opening title, so. I don't know. Maybe he just forgot his mask at home on vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and consider, well, he's taking it on other vacations, so.
Right.
And considering
I just love the idea of Eustace packing that thing specifically.
We're building the brick wall here. They're figuring it out. Like, why not? Like the worst thing. You know what? We got in the opening. It's a really cool gag. Let's just bring it in every episode. Let's just do it.
Right.
And it's entirely possible. And this is kind of like the boring explanation, but it's entirely possible that that particular episode was completed before the
exactly.
I'm sure that's probably it. Yeah.
Before the theme song was, so.
Sure.
So that's the boring explanation.
Yeah. Okay, so semantics aside, of course, Mir's just like giving Eustace what for. What did I do? whoa, she goes going off. And we have, again, these are the hallmarks of Courage for him, man. I love that we hit this, like, in an early episode, where it's like, oh, don't worry, Courage. Just for a short time. He gives him, like, a blanket kiss on the head. It's like, oh, my goodness, isn't that nice? Like, that's the hallmark of the
right there, pretty much, that whole exchange with Eustace scaring Courage and then her giving Courage the blanket, that pretty much, like, sums up the entire dynamic. I mean, that dynamic never really shifts the entire show.
I mean, it encapsulates that opening again, like little baby Courage found by Muriel. It's all there.
The one thing that does change in that scene, however, is Courage pretty much has the full sentence like, hey, easy for you, you'll be sleeping in a warm bed.
Yeah, little chatty Courage in this episode. But again, they're getting the rope. They're less is more.
I'm fine with it. Like, it kind of gives like an early episode charm.
And also, he really doesn't even speak that much in the rest of the episode either. I mean, except for like a few things here and there, but like he still does his trademark babble and shape shifting in this episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got notes in the shape shifting. We'll get there. All right. So let's see. So Muriel is going the full Marion Crane here, but for a bath.
All right, and then Eustace. Can I just say I really love the strange like abstract portrait that's above Eustace's bed.
Yeah.
The purple man, if you will.
Yeah, which of course comes back later because of course we need some portraiture for some certain iconic, kind of spooky gags. So yeah, Eustace.
My own bed.
Now this is my favorite. I love this bit with Eustace though. Yeah, I love it. Like it's like just very grounded, very realistic. It's like, Muriel, do you hear me? It's like every grandparent, every old folks home. I need you to hear me ranting, otherwise it won't matter. Like, forget it. Just. Then instantly, of course, he's complaining about the bed. Falls asleep instantly. It was fine.
Right.
So then we reveal the Katz in the private room behind the desk. Katz, much like Norman Bates, has a hobby. And unfortunately, this hobby
is kind of like less psycho and more bad times at the El Royale.
Sure. I'm saying like less taxidermy, more like living material here, where Katz has a room full of man-eating spiders, or to be specific, man and dog and woman is bipedal eating spiders.
Spiders.
Yes.
Your dinner has arrived.
Like I said, man, the creepiest thing about these spiders is the fact that they're realistically they are big spiders, but there's definitely bigger actual spiders that exist in the world, so they're not that big, and that kind of crosses the sense, crosses the realism territory.
For me, what gets me with the spiders, and we'll see it in full display, is the speed and the movement of the spider. That's editing on the spiders, and especially how they move. That's what gets me.
Well, I mean, they're not really that fast when they're coming after Courage, though.
No, the way we edit that seems very fast, though. You're right, though. It's not. But it's like the fear-based, anyway, we'll get there. Okay. All right, so, okay. So, also, I love the Katz's bit here, too, where it says a beat. And again, this is a classic, the persnickety, very posh, Katz, of Katz Motel, where he's going oh, and by the way, your web is such a mess. Clean it up.
Clean it up, will you?
He's messy actions, but he tries to run a clean ship. It's still a very dismal motel, but he tries to keep it clean as he can.
Mm-hmm. He's classy villain.
Yeah.
He's like a Bond villain.
Absolutely.
Except his enemy is nowhere close to.
It's like, what if Blofeld's cat had a spin-off? It's pretty much.
Oh God.
That's exactly it. And for some reason, was British.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. Yeah.
He just blow.
I don't think imported. No, you're right. I mean, it's an imported cat, though. I don't know. He's fancy. He's highfalutin. I don't know. Anyway, so we have the Eye Runner, of course, classic. The paintings and the shower head, which is really creepy.
Right. Oh God.
One defies the laws of physics because the motel paint, the paint is it's like the El Royale. There's a room behind there. That's how he's doing.
Exactly.
The shower head. That's just creepy. It doesn't make any sense, but it's there.
It doesn't have to make sense.
No, it doesn't. That's what's great. That's what's great and scary about it. Okay, so Courage is outside, and he's at the end of the porch.
Oh God.
Motel, and Katz, and this is what I love. I love Katz's style, man. Is Katz? he doesn't need to get out there and show you what he's doing. He's like the outstretched arm places a box. Okay, what's the deal with the box? So he puts the box.
What's in the box?
Yes. In other words, so he opens the box, and Tiki.
Yo. What's in the box?
Yes, what's in the box?
What's in the box? All right.
I was like, I'll mail that box to myself.
Inside there were spiders, super scary spiders.
I saw a really cool Christmas ornament recently. I was a very brief aside. Seriously though, at the Disney store, they had a whole bunch of really awesome looking ornaments they put out this year, and they had Krunk and Yzma in the little little lair ride.
Oh, hell yes. Oh man, I want it.
I know, it's awesome.
That'd be cool.
My mom and I collect Christmas ornaments. We have since I was a kid.
Well, that's a Disney store. You really got to get that one, Tiki. It's awesome.
I need to look into
I see it. That is really cool.
I know, right?
All right.
Okay. Anyway, back to business.
At first, I was hoping that you were gonna say that it was just Yzma holding up the box.
Oh, that'd be great too. But then Tiki, they had some again doing a pull like that though. Never say never.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Okay. So point opens up and it's a spider. Ah!
God. Like you said, Dragon, just the editing is great because it's like it looks like the spider is just going like it wants speed towards Courage.
It's just this intense predatory charge, which, given the end, makes you wonder: was it an intense predatory charge, or is that Courage's like fight or flight perspective going on?
That's his perspective.
I mean, knowing it's from Courage, it's probably just like he's. Considering like how we actually see it when it's chasing after him afterwards, it's probably just Courage imagining it. I mean, it's probably not any less dangerous, but still.
Well, again, it's kind of next level cartoony kind of like theory when you think about it. Because again, it's like ordinarily that would be it. Like spider, inhumanly, like that's a super spider right there. Not to be confused with the Oscorp brand. That's a super spider. It's charging at him. It's gonna gobble them all up and do horrible spidery things you don't want to think about. But no. It was a little, at that end beat, just like it kind of like it's slowing down to a crawl. It's like, oh no, he wasn't that much danger after all. It just kind of like took him a long time to get free of that leash is all. Speaking of which, that leash gag, Jacob told about.
Like he has he has like a blowtorch. Like what else does he use? I mean, I just watched the episode. Like he tries
flamethrower, a chainsaw, Little Evil Dead. No, not really. Chainsaw,
test tube with acid in it.
Yeah, or like some sort of chemical combustible or something.
Yeah, none of which work because the leash is indestructible until he puts it in his mouth and chews on it once and it instantly.
Courage has vibranium fillings. We learn.
Yeah, it's like, welcome to the world of Courage, in which dog teeth are stronger than explosions.
Yep. Well, I mean, you've seen what he's done. He has like a regenerating tongue and everything. You just put nothing past this dog, man.
I mean, for all we know, he probably does have superpowers. He can bite through that leash. He can shapeshift and scream out his lungs to defeat people. I mean, he's like a super dog.
That he is. Doesn't need to be on drugs like Underdog. Okay, so tell me I'm wrong. He takes a pill anyway. We're just free focus here. So we have like a little bit of a Nightmare on Elm Street nod here with Muriel. Again, we're in lieu of the shower like Bates, like Psycho. We are opting for the Elm Street scare. We're okay. She's in the tub, and we have the spider comes out of the shower head where the eye was.
It comes out of the faucet.
Sure. Oh, okay. It comes out of the faucet, and then we hear just this. We just walking on water practically. Oh my God! It's a Jesus spider! Run!
right.
It's a holier than thou spider. We're doomed. So we hear a shriek from outside, as anyone would. And these little details they kind of make it sing. It's 666. It's 666.5. Like it's even worse than the devil, man.
It's like
Damien.
It's like the devil's cohabitational partner.
Yes. So then Courage, he cannonballs through the window. I love it's not a giant explosive cannonball through the window. It's like, I hope this works. I'm like, ploop. So, got him where he needed to go. Go on.
It's a bit much, but it's effective.
Yeah. We have this kind of shiny. I don't know if you guys have this too. Is this scene kind of framed like something from The Shining, where we have this again? It's like Muriel battling the spider, and Courage just seeing it through the doorway like that. I don't know, a little Shining-esque to me. like something horrible is going on in like the motel room door within all the
Yeah.
Well, I guess if any horror movie kind of takes place in a hotel or a motel, it can. I mean, comparisons to The Shining are pretty much inevitable.
So I saw a shirt with the Overlook carpet pattern on it that looked amazing.
Really? That's cool.
A little pricey though, but it was awesome.
I mean, heck, there's a Shining reference in the recent DuckTales episode.
Yes, there was.
And the original Toy Story. So a lot of Shining gets around, kids.
I think there's like a Shining reference in every Toy Story movie.
Pretty much. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right. So let's see. So then, all right. It was like wake up Eustace. You get Eustace, and of course, Kurtz tries to wake up Eustace like as a one-man band. It's like a giant paper bag. He pops, and also the score. Tiki, did you notice like a Fantasia-sounding score in this?
No, but I'd have to go back and watch, and maybe I would. Like
mainly during that scene, it sounds a little Fantasia. Obviously, not using the Fantasia. I'm saying it sounds like kind of like a classical sort of like kind of like a picture of the mind sound.
Right.
Like this before we have the dun, 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 this before we have the Courage thing.
Of course.
And of course, Eustace doesn't wake up.
And the bed flips because we need cool spooky stuff. Bed flips.
Again, sounds like something like a Bond villain would have.
Can we just point out the shot of like Muriel with the spider between her toes, like getting at her? I'm just like, oh god, these spiders.
Yeah.
Like this series knows how to prey on like your primal fears.
It really does, man.
Okay, so we gotta talk about the kind of our shape-shifting pantomime sequence here. So Courage, he enters the motel office in a panic because Eustace isn't there. Muriel's in trouble. Says, "Okay, I'm gonna go with this crazy Katz guy. We're gonna see what happens." And he just instantly fires into like the shape-shifting as he's one to do. But two things. One, we know that no one's there, and Courage just goes in there. He sees no one. And he does his little pantomime show. This little note there. And two. All the things he transforms into very unrelated. So he turns into a cobra, then a flying dinosaur, then a lizard-like dinosaur. And I like to think this is before Courage got good at the pantomime.
And and like transforms into like 3 or 4 different things. None of them are spiders.
Nope, not. The very easiest thing would be, hey, giant spider. Even if it's not like, hey, we have just an odd assortment of sinister-looking spiders. Hey, motel guy, spider, deal with it.
I mean, to be fair, Courage was in a panic, and a lot of times, like a lot of stuff he shapes up into really is sometimes shapes up into things that really isn't related to the thing at hand. So,
yeah.
But to be fair, like at least in those, he at least has one thing related to those. Here,
well, like in King Ramses' curse, when he's trying to warn Eustace of the curse of the tablet, he transforms into a sinking Titanic.
Well, that's kind of a message there. Like, we're all going down, man.
Well, that to be fair, and they do get flooded shortly afterwards.
That's true.
And also and as I just mentioned, one of the transformations is like an explorer guy just fading into nothingness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got better at the charades over time.
My guess is that Kurtz is just trying to explain something that he doesn't know exactly what's going on, so he's just trying to.
I hear that, but
danger.
still, Spider is pretty like Spider. I don't know. I mean, look, I'm no expert. I'm not great at charades, but I'm just saying, Spider. It's pretty easy to connect those dots.
Oh, well, I mean, pretty much all the things he transformed into are pretty much reptiles.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've been watching too much Jurassic Park, or something's going the full Goldblum. I don't know what's going on. Anyway. All right. So, so he glimpses the private door behind the desk, which is open. And again, I don't get the physics of this, but again, that really rules. It's fine. Like, I don't know how the bed flips and Eustace ends up. Like, they're all on the same floor, but let's just go with it. It's fine.
I just took it as headcanon that like Katz found him and dragged him.
Yeah, you're right, Jake. I'm just saying, I'm just gonna. That makes the most sense. It's just otherwise, like, wait a minute, why even have a flipping bed?
But I mean, Eustace never even wakes up for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Though. It's all fine. Man. We're all right, we have a shape-shifting dog. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the show hasn't really been one for realism in a lot of its episodes.
Exactly. All right, so private door opens. We a giant spider web is sleeping Eustace kind of cocooned up or webbed up. He's the main course, and we have a bigger spider. And pretty much they're all relatively the same size. We get that creepy medium size.
Oh God!
And it's the creepy medium. Everyone wants the medium, but do they really? All right, so Eustace, he's Spider Chow. He's doomed. He's a goner. We're gonna.
What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
So then we have the logical response here within the theory and fight or flight. Courage for rare opportunity. Opts for fight. He grabs a giant.
I mean, does Courage ever really fight at all? I mean, very rarely, at least.
Yeah, very rarely. I mean, there have been he's had kind of the wimpy slap fights, which have been pretty hilarious. I'm trying to think.
I mean, he always goes for the flight and rescue angle rather than actually fighting.
Right.
Usually the villains do themselves in some way.
Sandy, do you remember Courage ever getting into a thumb war? I want to say with Katz with the whole sportsmanship thing. Do you remember anything like that?
I do remember him getting a thumb war. Let me.
I'd assume
Katz. In a second.
Oh, that's fine. Take your time. But it comes to
the thing is that the villains usually do themselves in, or some outside some outside force does them in.
Yeah, you know what? It was the Demon in the Mattress episode. He thumb wrestles Muriel.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's the other one we covered, by the way. We were missing one. That was Demon in the Mattress. Okay.
Oh yeah, that was a good episode too.
All right.
Well, Courage does a lot of fighting, but it's not like combat fighting. It's more of kind of inventive, just inventive stuff that he whips out a giant pair of nail clippers to snip the wires to the giant spaceship or something like that.
Yeah, or gets turned to a giant kaiju. He's not fighting. He's throwing pastries at him.
Yeah.
Basically Deus Ex Hammer Space.
There you go. Oh my God, it's great. It's brilliant, Jacob.
He's really good at improv. Courage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So anyway, so of course, very, very improvised solution here. He just grabs the giant floorboard. Does what most of us do when we see a spider. He squishes it and walks up the plank, saves Eustace, and he's going off. Who closes the door behind him? None other but Katz leaving so soon. The door shuts.
Like, you really shouldn't have done that.
Courage tosses the webbed up Eustace at him. Courage kind of thinking on his feet. Well, I don't really like the farm that much. I'm going to save my hide for the second year. He's going to toss him.
Right. Makes sense.
Done that. So he's fleeing into a dark room. And what's in this dark room, guys?
Oh, it's jars full of mutant bugs.
Oh yeah, just spiders, just a whole bunch of spiders in jars. We hear the scream as he bolts out of the room and squashes Katz incidentally with the door. A lot of squashing this episode, but appropriate given the spider theme. I really wish you hadn't done that.
Katz rarely raises his voice, but that's pretty much the angriest he gets in this episode. Really,
much, yeah, 'cause you get, one time is once is enough, but second, okay, that tears it. We're playing handball,
and that's and most of to him that's probably just more of a minor inconvenience.
Certainly, and then we
get another editing chase gag where it looks like Katz is gaining on Courage, but really he's just taking his time.
And again, that's that saunter, man. Again, Katz having the cat walks the dog.
Right.
I mean, because basically, Courage is basically going down in a hallway that will eventually reach its end. So
Katz knows.
He's like, why rush?
It's great. So yeah, so we go. Basically, he goes down the dead end hallway of the motel, which again, it's on his turf, which is even better. There's no place. And he emerges from the shadows. There's no place to run. No place to hide. So then, then we have the wall ball again, very Bondvillian, kind of last request sort of thing. This is Katz's signature, and this is why Katz is the best, because he always a little sport before dying.
I mean, and to be fair, don't get me wrong, I love this part and everything, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense given the context of the episode.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It was a wonderful invention that comes back, and I'd like seeing the
that's-
genesis of it. It makes no yeah. Go on.
Well, that's the thing you got to know about Dilworth. Watching any of his stuff, nothing will ever make sense.
I mean, Dilworth
Yeah,
is like,
yeah, I agree. I agree, Ezra.
I know. Dilworth is kind of like a surrealist, so I'm not.
Yeah,
complaining.
totally.
Don't get me wrong. I love the fact
Kind
that
of the Salvador Dali of cartoons, in a sense.
As long as it's funny, it works for him.
Sure.
I mean, funny and scary at the same time.
Speaking of which, so we have again good editing on this one because you go back and forth between the game of wall ball and Muriel versus the spider. My favorite bit, the creepiest bit for me within all this Muriel versus the spider stuff is like when she's holding the spider's legs, and it's just like it's trying to chomp at her, and it's from her POV. It's like from perspective.
Yeah,
and, like, that's the creepy. That's what I'm talking about. The motion of the spider and the timing and stuff. Like, oh my god, it's horrifying.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not personally an arachnophobe. I don't have like severe arachnophobia. I'm more afraid of bees myself.
I think we're all terrified of bees. That's a very legitimate fear.
But yeah, that was like. But this series can definitely. If there were these spiders coming after me, I'd be like, "That's it, I'm out of this place."
Right.
I'd be like, whacked to death with the biggest thing I could find. I'd just no, die!
I was like, I mean, forget killing the spider. I just try and burn the whole place down.
But then the spider wins.
I mean, I'd get out of that. I'd get out of there first.
Oh, right. Oh, well, okay, that wins. Okay. All right, so we have you cut between the game and Muriel going up against the spider, which of course leads ultimately to the toilet flush, which is she really dispatched with that guy. Goes down the water spout. It makes sense.
Right.
Of course, Spider-Man can't watch this episode. He really can't. Just like some PTSD.
And then some good look and. With the wall ball game, it goes back to the whole fast-paced from Courage's perspective, but slow from Katz' perspective.
Yeah, it's easy as pie for Katz. Like Katz is he's going to a spider catalog. Ooh, lovely.
and then it's he's just chilling, reading his book, and just casually hits the ball with his tail, and
drinking tea, and he's hitting it with his foot. He doesn't even care.
All the while, Courage just
yeah. So, oh god, so oh boys, there's a lot of fun there. So, of course, by the way, Muriel, she's leaving in a huff after everything she's been, because why wouldn't she? After all that giant spider, that's it, we're out. So
right.
She's getting out of the tub. She's getting, yeah.
Very few shows can handle horror and comedy at the same time the way this show can.
Very true. So she's getting ready in a huff, now where's that man gone? Looking for Eustace. Good Muriel comedy. So let's see. So then, okay. So Courage. Basically, Courage loses after the almighty last strike by Katz with the racket, and he's oh boy, he's hits, and again timing. It goes oh, he's gonna take Courage's head off, but no, it's a little plastic ball. It's bonk, and he's lost. So then we have, and this is why Katz rocks, man. I mean, we've already gone over a lot of reasons why Katz rocks and why Scheffler's the man, but let me tell you, folks. We have just that scary. It's almost like the bit with Joker from Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, where he's kind of strangling Batman. It's this really terrifying moment where he with one hand he's strangling her after he cracks his neck.
Oh yeah.
Crack. And so that already sets up the stakes there. Oh my god!
Well,
and then he's
well, if the whole motel business doesn't work out, Katz could definitely be a chiropractor.
He could be. But would you trust him though? That's my question.
Probably not, to be honest.
So
I didn't say he'd be a good one. I said he could be one.
That's okay. You're right about that. I should have read the fine print on the Wonka contract on that one. You're right. So with one hand, awesomely and terrifyingly, with one hand, he's strangling Courage as he says one of the big money lines. Now you're going. Sandy, would you like to deliver it or should I?
You can go ahead and do it. I forget what it was.
Now you're going to learn why no one ever checks out.
Katz.
Yeah. So with one hand he's strangling. We cut back to poor old Courage, the life being just terrified. And with the other hand, Katz brings out his main weapon of choice with a cat holding a spider, and he's going to unleash it on you. That's just terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, Katz
holding
holding
stuff of nightmares.
And he's still less terrifying than the Katz movie.
And he's and he's laughing. He's oh God, when will it end? I'm in adult. I want my money. So Muriel, and call for the mother figure for courage. Hey, Muriel shows up, hits him with the rack because she ain't happy with the service. She's got a complaint for the manager. So she
and again, it's not Courage that actually saves the day in this episode.
Yeah, Muriel incidentally, and I hear that.
I like how the racquetball thing like is just kind of like an absurd joke, but then it comes back around to save the day.
Yeah.
Constantly the head.
Like the only reason it's in there is just so she can hit Katz in the head with a racket.
We're leaving. The service here stinks. And this is one of those episodes where again you're kind of questioning how in the know is Muriel about all this, because she was almost killed by the spider and she leaves. It's pretty straightforward, but again, like she's not putting all the pieces together. Like
she doesn't question she doesn't even question like why Katz is even holding like a spider over Courage or anything.
That's what I'm saying. Like she's more in the know than she usually is, but still we have the end gag here. So they're all driving home. Eustace is in a web, and she just writes it off as, "Oh, with a fancy blanket, Grandpa," which is so weird for us to call him Grandpa.
Yeah, can I say, is that one of the only times that she calls Eustace Grandpa?
It's the only time.
I legitimately believe like that's the only time she ever refers to him as that.
Yeah.
Because usually because other times I've ever watched this show and she's talking about Courage, about Eustace to Courage, she still always refers to him as Eustace.
Yeah. Never Grandpa. I mean, like the Cajun Fox calls her Granny for Granny Stew. That's as far as it goes.
I mean that makes sense though. I mean he doesn't really know her name.
Exactly. I mean, that's the point. But yeah, absolutely no. He's never referred to like Eustace as as Grandpa to Courage, which is just weird. But again, they learned. There's a work in progress. So like, what a fancy blanket Grandpa has on. We should get you one. Which then leads, I got to admit, to kind of a weak sauce kind of courage scream. Like, is he really that worried about it? Like, ah!
Right.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that being completely bundled in a web like that would be kind of terrifying.
Yeah, but she's never gonna find that. Come on.
and
you know what? I just think we need a scream to go out on the episode with. I mean, like Ezra said, it's still worth, man. It's still worth wanting to scream.
They built up the credibility. I won't take that away from it. Just saying again, it's like prototype before we get to the refined product later on. That's all.
I think about just about every Courage episode either ends with a scream or it ends with a goofy laugh. One of those.
It's always a laugh. You're right. It's always a goofy laugh, a smile, and or a scream.
Or the occasional heartwarming moment.
Yeah.
Basically, it's either the one mask or the other mask with the comedy and the tragedy. It's like, oh my God, Eustace is on like a tablet at the end.
Oh God!
What's your offer?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's her ending.
Man, this show, I'm just now remembering, this show had a lot of existential horror in it.
Where's on the existential tip of the iceberg there, boyo?
I mean, I just thought it was just like the King Ramses thing, but no, a lot of this stuff like features like almost like Lovecraftian levels of like existential horror.
Oh, for certain.
Right, so final thoughts on my end. I think this is a really interesting kind of like relic of old Courage. It's definitely like not the perfected product that we see, in later seasons or even later on in season 1. But for what it is, I think it's fascinating. I think the spiders absolutely like hold up in terms of like just being fucking creepy ass imagery that that really gets under your skin. And Katz is just a lot of fun. The editing and especially like the whole like the different takes on intensity that Courage is experiencing, all very fun. Overall, a really good start to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a great introduction to Katz. Still early Courage, but really nice to see like the formulas kind of in their beginnings and kind of the classic tropes. So like a Bates Motel sort of say again, like the creepy motel sort of archetype. Again, maybe the ending's a little rushed, but the episode's got a lot of polish in that regard. I mean, everything is.
It doesn't exactly deter you from watching the rest of the show.
No, heck no. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's like before we kind of put like the more memorable endings that we get later on, again, like a Ramses or the Heads of Beef or something like that, or Perfect.
It doesn't really have like any of the twist endings the show is known for. Sometimes.
Exactly, because again, they're learning the ropes, and it's a gimme. They more than earned, especially even just after this episode. Oh my, yeah, that Katz guy was so fantastic. Of course, that fine. It was like a little like that, it was a little screen to camera. It's what it is. It's cool.
Yeah, I kind of have the same sentiments. I mean, I don't think anybody. I think many people just put it on like the best list for like just basically for the sheer novelty of it, because. I mean, but if except for the sheer novelty, I mean, even I wouldn't call it one of the best episodes. But again, it's a pilot; it's not expected to be among the best episodes. But again, that doesn't mean it's not memorable, and especially since it introduces one of the best villains of the show too. So it's able to stand on its own merits regardless. So it's definitely worth a watch, and especially if you want to see a relic of courage and how it all got its start after the initial pilot of the chicken from outer space.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I've got. I really don't have too much else to say. It's a great episode. The only thing I will say is,
watch where you're going, you fool.
And that's all I'll say about that.
You fool.
You fool.
Yeah, way before that guy too. All right.
All right, folks. That's the end of tonight's spooky selections, and our spirits grow weary. But they'll be stronger than ever next time as we engage in even more haunted holiday hijinks.
Time to check out of Katz Motel.
For dying, dear boy.
We should make a legion of spiders.